Hello and welcome to Dell's Gaming, and this is From the Depths. And last time there was a comment that I didn't have any boom in the last video, so apologies for that. It was just a little update, but hopefully we'll get a bit of boom in this one. We'll see how it goes. Right, I was going to start off on the campaign, but I've been sort of reorganizing things, and someone said they didn't realize that the Scharnhorst was not only a battleship from World War II. So I thought, why not mix a couple of things, because I like building ships. So even though it's not going to be put into the campaign straight away, I think that the SMS Scharnhorst is a good build, and also I'm going to incorporate a few little changes I'm going to make to all of the ships for what I have found it could be a good way forward against Deepwater Guard, Onyx Watch and a few others. So anyway, I think I'll put some timings down in the description if you don't want to listen to me. So first of all, the Scharnhorst, picture on the screen hopefully, and I was wrong on one thing. It wasn't a light cruiser, it was an armoured cruiser. So this was a World War I armoured cruiser, which in the World War I system meant that, and this was a later one, but just before they started doing battle cruisers, it was armoured, had about 6 inches of armour on the belt and most of the side, had some reasonable 8.4 210mm guns, quite well armed and armoured. It was intended to supplement the battleships in the line if required. Now, the actual history of the Scharnhorst, to briefly do, the Scharnhorst and the Gneisenau were sister ships, both of the same class, and they were put into the the East Asian fleet, where before World War I they were around in the Pacific. Start of World War I, and I'm going to go over this fairly quickly. Start of World War I, they joined up all of the various ships, and that's where the Emden, Leipzig, and I think the Dresden, all the light cruisers joined the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, and they went over towards South America on that side of the Pacific. The intention was to come round and try and do some harm in the South Atlantic. Anyway, the first battle was the Battle of Coronel, where they basically took on some old British naval fleet, which was made up of a few old armoured cruisers, a very old battleship which didn't take part in that particular battle, and some armoured freighters. Basically, it wasn't really much of a contest. But the Asian fleet, East Asian fleet of the Imperial Navy, they'd used up a lot of their coal and ammunition, so they made their way over to the Falklands, intending to rearm, recoal, and possibly get some repairs in before they went somewhere else. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which side you're on, at the Falklands was the ships that were going to be replacing these, the battle cruiser Invincible and Inflexible, which had 12-inch guns and armoured and a lot faster than the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau. They basically sank the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau. If you want a bit more detail, go and find out Drachenfeld's video on the SMS Scharnhorst. I'm sure it will give you more details. Anyway, back to the build. So you can see here I have put up a bit of a hull just to speed things up and sort out the layout, and this is based upon the pictures that I've been able to find of the Scharnhorst and a line drawing to get some approximate sizing, guns, etc. Now, guns wise, I will, as always, gimp myself by trying to use things which are suitable for the actual ship itself. Now, the first thing I did is I have done some gun experimentation, which is what this little place is here, mucking around with various ammo and ammo sizes to get something which is suitable. So the main guns, which will be 8.4 inch, so 210 mil basically. They're going to use this. Let me just put the UI on. They'll be using this little control shell here. The intention is to do something which will a bit of HE frag damage, but enough to accurately take out metal blocks, and that actually with a 210 does take out a metal block quite nicely. 2 metal blocks is a little bit much, but takes out one. Then it has a secondary armament of 150, which are generally going to be just a HE shell, so they're going to be primarily HE to basically do surface damage and work over the ship. So going to have, I think, 6 of those in case-mated guns, whereas the 8.4 inches will be in 2 dual turrets at the front here. You can see I've put a little X. This is what I tend to do. I use wooden blocks just to mark out where I'm thinking of putting it, and then 2 more single turrets on the side near these casements. But I'm debating whether to make them case-mated or turrets. That's purely because of a space issue I'm going to have trying to fit them in. But I'll see when I get to it. I'll see what comes up. Then it's going to have a load of 88mm guns, and I've worked on a couple of different versions. This is going to be what I'm going to use for the case-mated ones. So I'm going to use an AA mantlet on its side for guns at the front. On the picture, at the very bow and the very stern, it had some 88s, and also these casements in here they're not to be case-mated. Then it's got some on the deck, which will be these sort of 88s. And then finally I've got some 30mm guns, which I'm going to put onto the deck at various places. Just a few of those, just as a really close-in weapon. So that's the armament plan. Now, with these armaments, something I've been working on, and I'm just going to take this out of play for the moment, is thinking about the enemy I'm up against. Now, this is going to be aimed to be against later Deepwater Guard, and I'm thinking Onyx Watch, maybe White Flayers, but potentially Onyx Watch. So the biggest problem I've got, or the Scharnhorst is going to face, is going to be CRAM shells, some medium-ish missiles. I think that'll be mainly, and flyers. And when I say flyers, I mean quite big flyers, especially at the Deepwater Guard. You've got the various airships, etc., which can be problematic. Now, we've got armour. We're going to have about 1.5 blocks of armour, which is, in my mind, about 6 inches of armour. So a solid metal block, a slope, and then a bit of wood just behind to act as a backing. We'll look at that when I get to the ship. But one thing I've been working on is using guns and the the anti-missile controller to take out CRAMs and missiles. Obviously, people know about missiles, but what about CRAMs? So if I just spawn in something which is going to shoot a load of CRAM shells at me, so hopefully that's going to fire. I've just spawned in a stockade, and hopefully it'll fire at me. My little 88's having a go at it, but hopefully I want to see some shots come in. Hopefully, and here we go. So we've got some coming in, and the Flak has taken out. So it took out 2 rounds to a 3. His aim was somewhat off. But yeah, these 88s, so these are basically firing a fairly Flak heavy. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the 30mm. Let me just get this in here. Hopefully that's the one. A fairly Flak with frag shell, and they take out the CRAM shells quite nicely. And then once it's in range, if there's no CRAM shells coming in, it will then fire at the target. It's fairly flak heavy, and it will obviously be nice to prioritize flying ships, which the flak will also help with. But yeah, I just thought I'd give this a go at taking out the CRAM shells. Yep, another one gone. So this is basically what I'm going to have some of these on the side of the Scharnhorst, basically adding to the protection for against CRAMs specifically. Yeah, it works quite well. The settings I've set so that these don't work against very small ones, so they've got a limit of 499. I found that against small missiles these were pretty crap. They just won't target quick enough, but 30 mils here are okay against small missiles. But to be honest, I'm gonna just soak up 30 mil, small missile incoming damage. Yep, they're now firing at them. Are they going to take out? Yes, they've taken out those CRAMs, and they're giving him a good old dose of flak as well. Now in the real time we're going to have the big guns, but anyway, that's just what this ship is going to be working as an experiment with, is to see how these go. So anyway, let's get on with the building. So here we go. So that's the plan. I'm gonna get to a point where other key bits I think on here are gonna be the engines. This is gonna doing some tests with steam, getting efficiency. This isn't gonna use turbines. This will still use normal piston engines for the for drive, which, yeah, good or bad, however you want to look at it, isn't the best way to do things, as other people have found out, but is in keeping with the ship. It was driven by triple expansion engine, so I'm going to use some pistons on this as well. We might change that, and we might have to, we'll see how it goes. We might have to put some shields on here, in which case we'd need a bit more power creation, at which point I might have to put some turbines in. But I'm going to try and make this with the normal pistons and do a slightly different design of triple expansion, and we'll see how we go with efficiency. You can see how I've laid everything out with the various sections to fill in, so hopefully we should be reasonably airtight. And also I was saying about the armor scheme. Well, we've got most of the armor is one block here, and then a 4 meter slope, and then basically some at the end there's some wood on the final end. I might put another little gap and then another internal bulkhead. We'll see how we do once we've filled up most of the ship. So back at the next bit, which I think I'm first of all gonna work on the main weapons first. Get them make sure they shoot and do damage, and then then we'll see about the secondary weapons. And welcome back. And you know when it's like when you sort of start just want to do one little bit more, just a little bit more, just one little bit more, and before you know it, you've spent a few hours working on the ship. So I meant to only do one, like the main guns, and it happens to be that I've done most of the primary guns, shall we say. So let's just have a quick look through, and then it's a good time actually, before I start anything else, to look at where the ship is now and get some points. We're already at 169k. This wasn't going to be a cheap ship. It's a long ship, 140 meters. You know, it's not going to be small by any any stakes, you know, 14 volume of 14k. Ooh. And I haven't done the main superstructure yet, but we got a lot of space yet not filled. Going through, let's start with the main guns. So we've got some main guns here now. Let me just bring up the UI so we can see the details. This isn't supposed to be a battleship, this is a cruiser. So, and we're after, it's not, I've got space. I could make this turret a little better on the old Tetris and make it a bit bigger, but it's suitable for the ship, the era, everything else like that. So anyway, with that in mind, let's have a look. So we've got a rate of fire of 16 on a 210, and if we look at the shell, where are we? Axis intakes, we'll look at the 210 shell. So armor piercing head, and we're getting a good 14 armor piercing value with, you know, 3,800 kinetic, but it's also got this bit of explosive and some fragments. I found it's not highly armor piercing. I found this combination is a general good way of knocking blocks off of various different types. It's not too specific. I mean, people will say use HESH, use heat, etc. like that. Reasons for not doing that: A, history. They didn't use really HESH and heat and all that type of things in world. You know, it's basically knock big chunks out. Also, this works on different types of craft. Anything, it just starts knocking it apart, and I quite like that. It just creates good, shall we say, confetti. Could be better. It's a 2.5 meter shell, not a full 3 meter. That's to keep the rate of fire up. I could change it a little bit, give it some more length, make it a full 3 meter shell, but that would reduce. I'm after a higher rate of fire. 16 rounds per minute, not massive, but good enough for a cruiser, I think. The side guard, so I've got 2 of those. That's good. That's the main turrets as such. Then we've got the additional 8.4s. Now these, unfortunately, I was trying to get them to be similar RPM, you know, rounds per minute, but I couldn't make them the same. Where's one to show? I can't actually show one now. You'll notice that they're quite long in a 3x3 sort of stack. If I made them any bigger to get more ammo loaders in, unfortunately they would end up pushing into the main armor, and therefore they'd get hit, get taken out, and they just get one-shotted all the time as soon as anything hit the side. So this way they've still got a nice 2 metal of armor in front of them. I think they're still going to get a bit one-shotted, but they're the same shell, just slightly lower rate of fire, which is okay. The turrets are the main damage dealers, I think. The next guns were these 150 mils. So what I've done, instead of building a turret like this, I've used the AA mantlet. Because these are only to be really shooting at surface ships. And why is that got no gauge loaded? I think it's because, well, lucky I was going around, I found one gun that I hadn't set the loaders to select a shell. Anyway, let's have a look at these. So these are the 150 mil. Intention is to make them primarily HE. The idea is to knock out surface elements, detection, that type of thing, just aiming at the smaller ships, anything that gets close. Still got in a range that will go out to about 3.5k. The actual shell itself is capable of going much further, but because again I'm using the AA, what I'm doing here is I'm using the AA mantlet, so it will go forwards and about 20 degrees there. It won't go exactly forward, it'll go a couple of degrees off, and then about 20 degrees from the center, 19 to be exact. Now, because it's quite high velocity, it doesn't need much elevation as such, because we'll make the ship stay fairly level, and that way it'll be able to shoot at the target, certainly within the 5 degrees. Let's have a look at it again. Bear with me. I just lost it there. Look at this one instead. So 25 rounds a minute. So okay, again, you can see I'm having to fit it in just outside of the or inside of the armor, so it's got some armor value. I will cover this a little bit, so if it does get popped, it hopefully does not take out what's in the center, especially if this is the AI area. We'll put some nice heavy armor on there, but the other ones we'll just put some armored area just to stop it taking out whatever happens to be in these sectors. Hopefully that'll work. The shell itself, again, I'm following this basic idea. I like keeping it sort of in keeping. Now the thing here, I am using a hollow point head. The reason I like these, especially in lower caliber weapons, is it stops bounces. It means as soon as it hits, we know that the HE here, we've got mainly HE and a bit of frag, will do plenty of damage and will start hitting, rather than it bouncing off a shield or a heavy bit of metal. It will do some sort of damage. Thump damage isn't great, but we're relying on the explosive and the fragment damage hitting small objects and small blocks on the surface. Again, I think it could be okay. The other ones, finally, for mainly anti-surface, is at the front, as per the design, at the front and 2 at the rear, using the same AA mantlet. Again, high velocity, they don't need much elevation. These are just an 88mm shell. Nice high rate of fire. Let's see if I can see the inside. You'll notice these are, again, they're just sitting on the edge of the armor, sort of blocked in. I don't expect these to last very long, especially these ones at the back. They're so close to the water line. I think as soon as this decking is hit, I think this is all going up in a big bang. But that might be a bit problematic, and I might have to think about those. Some way of reducing their explosiveness. But yeah, in general, nice high rate of fire, 66, which is good. It's basically a HE shell. Again, hollow point to ensure that it does explode. Nice bit of HE. I put an extra bit of frag in here just to do some real damage. I noticed that seemed to, getting the frags up, seemed to be better than just giving it a bit more HE. So yeah, that sort of works. I could put a solid in here, but this sort of, again, it does a bit of shredding. It's quite a quick to reload, keeping that number of items on the ammo down means that it reloads pretty quickly. So that's it. Now I have got to do the anti-missile and anti-air guns. That's done by the other 88s and 30mm, which I'll put on, which I'll do next. But I think I will leave this one here. It's just a work in progress. I will possibly show this over a couple of sort of videos. But now for some boom. Let's do some boom. So if we bring in something like, I suppose it's going to have to be the good old, where are you, Marauder? Where's that Marauder gone to? I know you're here somewhere. What? Why can't I see it? There it is. Right. So if we spawn in a Marauder, and we will aim the guns. We have no AA at the moment, so it's all going to be down to just me aiming and firing. Let me just... That's a bit better. Right. Let's aim it right at the centre. Yeah, that wood, shredding it, no problem whatsoever. That's making a nice mess of that. So I think that will do quite well against any sort of lightly armed stuff. You can see the Flaks coming in there, destroying things, and those good old 210s are really clawing away at it. So yeah, they didn't last too long, which is the whole intention. Okay, let's just let them reload a little. And we'll use this side guns actually instead. So what if we give it an Onyx watch? Try it against some metal. Let's see what we got. Bastion. A Bastion might just be... Oh, okay, Bastion will do. Okay, let's just spawn in one of those. Okay, same again. Put it on one. Helps if I'm not come off of the ship. There we go, nice and in the center. Now it's not going to be as good against metal, obviously. But we can see there's lots of confetti coming out of the back there, lots of little bit blocks and some big ones as we get hits, which is basically what I'm after. Basically, just knocking the front of the ship, you know, knocking it to pieces. Yeah, I like that, rather than trying to use something to take it from the inside, and it actually has done an AI dead on that. Okay, they work. Are they perfect? No, but they're going to be fun, I think. So next is going to be possibly maybe the propulsion. Then I can do the rest of the top and get the guns finalized and make sure it actually goes forward, etc. Then finish the other guns and give it a test against some more challenging opponents. So the upper level of the dark deep water guard with an AI. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, it was just a starting little video. Any comments, as always, leave down below. Hopefully I'll do start something in the campaign, I think, next. I'm still thinking about the adventure mode. One of the problems I have with adventure mode is I'm not a quick builder, so building things whilst in the adventure, I take too long to build things, because I'm always trying to just alter one little bit instead of just getting on and doing the main bits. So we'll see how that goes. I need to do it, but I might do sort of designer, then adventure, then designer, adventure type of system. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, leave comments down below and keep playing the game. But above all, have fun.